what is the best alternative? I didn't have the opportunity to show the slide, but basically as what mentioned by Dato Sadiq just now, in terms of productivity, palm oil is the most productive oil crop. Basically, the most oil palm is the most productive crop. We compare with soybean is almost 9 to 10 times. Similarly, you compare with rapeseed and the rest. So, in other words, if you take out 30% of this, or maybe currently we're talking about maybe 25, it's on the high end, maybe 25 million hectares of oil, or basically land planted with oil palm globally, and you remove palm oil, and in order to get oil back for the consumption, for the requirement of the people, you will need, example, if you want to replace that with soybean, then you will need minimum for maybe 8 times. So you need to deforest 25 times 8 is 200 million hectares. Where? Forget about Malaysia, forget about Indonesia, the two major countries. Where? What are you going to do? Are you going to cut down the hotels, the buildings, universities, houses to plant this crop? No. Where are you going to go? You're going to cut forests. So, what alternative do we have? Basically, we have the most productive oil, the most versatile oil, the highest amount of nutrition in this palm oil. Just if you compare with other oil, basically, oil palm fruit have 2 different types of oil. In the fruit, you cut, you get 2 portions. One is the orange color, where you got all the liquid and solid oil. Basically, this is where we call the mesocarp, where you have mostly on the edible side, and also you have the kernel, the white color inside, which is more like coconut. And this also is a different type of oil, have different properties. And oil palm contains a very high amount of vitamin A and vitamin E. Vitamin A is the provitamin A, basically is carotene, very high as well. Our palm oil is red in color. And you compare with other oils, this is the highest basic content of carotene, and also has a high amount of vitamin E. Tocotrienol. People talk more of tocopherol, that kind of vitamin E, but tocotrienol is more important, and this is already there in this oil. And if talking about frying properties, the best, I mean, that's not only done by Malaysian, but many parts of the world people have done study, look at the properties, looking about the frying properties, the most stable oil, because it contains the antioxidant in the oil, that it is the most stable when you fry at high temperature for a long time. That's why basically you can use palm oil 2-3 times for cooking, there's no problem for frying, but not other oil. And don't try to be smart enough, olive oil is better, sunnah and whatnot, so you fry with olive oil. There goes your money. You spend a lot on olive, but then you are actually damaging the oil. You are actually oxidizing the oil by frying it at very high temperature. So basically, what I'm going to say is that there's no alternative. So far, that's what the best crop for oil given by God. I mean, the people say that it is what we call the nature's gift to Malaysia and nature's gift to the world. So basically, that is God created crop, which is very productive. You have 2 types of oil, and then you have so much of nutrient inside there, very versatile. And to me, why must we remove a very useful God-given oil and crop with something which is not even compatible with it?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ahmad, for this. So, for Dr. Sugumari, with the boycotting of the European countries, how would you suggest that the Malaysian economy go forth with this? Should Malaysia gradually shift away from palm oil to another natural resource? And if so, does Malaysia have the sufficient resources to do so?
Okay, I think the question is something somewhat similar to what given to Dr. Parvez. So basically, as he has explained, there is no shifting from palm oil to other oils, because that is something that is nature's gift. But of course, I think Rina would concur with me, the importance of sustainable production of the oil. So that is what is our aim. Okay, we have a God-given oil. The tree can produce until up to 25 to 30 years. So we do not need to deforest the land. Basically, we do with what we have. So what the government has actually done is that we've come up with policies to ensure that there is no, okay, one of the main policy is that no planting of oil palm in forest reserve areas. Okay, that's a policy that we have come up with recently, 2019, to ensure that there is no deforestation. And also no planting of oil palm in peatland. Because when you talk about peatland, the issues of carbon emission. So we've come up with those policies. Whatever we have planted those days, which is the same for every country, the Netherlands and all, they have planted on peatland. So what we do is we better manage the peatland based on sciences. Okay, there is a level of water management. I'm not a scientist, but there is ways to manage the peatland. So most of the peatland, especially in Peninsular Malaysia, is really third generation peatland. So you can manage it in terms of the carbon emission. Maybe Dr. Bowers can explain later on that. And we also have this policy basically to ensure that the maps of the oil palm plantation is made known to people. So we're actually working on that. These are important policies that we have put in place. On top of that, we have come up with the Malaysian Sustainable Palm Oil Certification. Of course, we started as voluntary, just like the Roundtable Sustainable Palm Oil. I think you will be asking me questions about that. But of course, the Roundtable Sustainable Palm Oil Certification is a business to business, it's voluntary. But what we have done in Malaysia is that to ensure good agricultural practices and to ensure that there's a value chain on how you're going to trace the oil palm from the source you harvest until you export. How are you going to trace that? So we've come up with Malaysian Sustainable Palm Oil Certification and we have made it mandatory. No other country has made it mandatory like what we have done. Other oils and fats are not subjected to certification. They do good agricultural practice, yes, I don't deny that. But our palm oil is always subjected to certification and we have made MSPO mandatory as of 1st January 2020. And it's a difficult task for us because, as Dr. Bowers mentioned just now, we have more than 500,000 smallholders. You know smallholders, the machi, now basically under the FELDA scheme, they're over 60 years. So when you want to ask them to do certification, it's not easy. Quite a number of them are not educated. So we are managing them, we are trying to get the whole value chain of the palm oil certified. So basically this is what among the policies that we are doing to ensure sustainable production of palm oil according to the Amsterdam Declaration. I think it's by 2030, is it? 2020. Yeah, by 2020 we are supposed to produce and export sustainable palm oil. So this is what is required by the European market. So we are doing all these efforts and in the hope that, you see, when people tell us palm oil is the main cause of deforestation, please get your facts right. I brought this book actually because in case I forget my facts. So if you look at it, what is the real cause of deforestation? It's actually livestock. Livestock around 77% cause of deforestation. And the other thing that you have to understand, please don't lump palm oil as in one basket. There are many palm oil producing countries, including Indonesia is the main, second is Malaysia, we have Thailand, Colombia. Don't lump it in one basket because each of us have different laws and regulations. So try to understand the efforts done by individual countries. That is very, very important. So basically, okay, if you look at it, oilseeds, the cost of deforestation for oilseeds and fats is 5.53%. And out of that, it's 0.4% for palm oil. I know the interest of NGOs when it comes to palm oil is because it's in tropical forest. And Malaysia is one of the 12 mega diverse countries in the world. And we know that. We love our orangutan. We take care of our orangutan. If you look at one of the videos, give me time, just let me one of the videos by the Greenpeace, okay, on orangutan, right? So one of the statements mentioned, I think, they said around 25 orangutans die every day. Do we have that amount of orangutans? I think by now it will be wiped out. So basically, we have done, maybe later I will talk about the conservation efforts that we have, but statistically, based on our survey a few years ago, we have around 11,000 odd orangutans in Sabah, where we ensure that the endangered species is actually protected. And there's a study done by Hutan, I think. Hutan has actually mentioned in 2004 that only 40% of orangutan habitat was in protected area. That was in 2004. And when they did the study again in 2016, the number actually raised to 85%. So imagine the conservation efforts and the efforts that we have put in. We are a developing country. Okay, in terms of fund, we don't have that much of fund. Soya bean has 60 billion, right, USD to do sort of publicity on soya bean. We don't have that kind of money, but we do try our very best to preserve our environment and take care of our orangutan and all that. So I hope you understand that. If you want more facts, you can always get back to any of us. And in terms of policy, you're welcome to contact me. I'll leave my contact later on. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sugumari, in relation to the interesting sharing session. For Ms. Rina, can I know what is your stance in relation to the sustainable production from the view of Greenpeace on this issue?
As I mentioned, the most important thing is deforestation. And one thing that I would say to the students here today is anything that's been said, including by myself, I hope you will go and check it out yourself, look for the reports, look for the facts, look for the statistics. I know I'm an independent person, I'm not employed by Greenpeace, and I do get paid by them. And one thing that I can say is that everything that Greenpeace puts out is scientifically founded. You'll be able to find a report, and as I mentioned earlier, there is a specific report on palm oil that you can refer to that Greenpeace has put together based on science and facts. But as I mentioned earlier, the main thing is we have to stop deforestation. Wherever it is, I know you referred to livestock, but livestock is more referring to the Amazon region. In the Asian regions, it's palm oil. So, you know, whichever way we're going about it, deforestation is causing a lot of problems. And I know in the introduction, another thing that was raised was the jobs and the poverty that palm oil is taking people out. It's also putting people in poverty, in really vulnerable positions because of illegal land grabbing. It's taking land from indigenous people. You know, like what resources do these indigenous people have to protect their rights? I get the point that this is and I'm very respectful of the fact that this is bringing a lot of money to the Malaysian economy. However, why do you think I gave up a high-paid job in London working with celebrities? Because it is like that enlightenment, I think, that one of the other speakers spoke about earlier today. If I don't have clean air, if there's not fertile soil for food to be grown on, what happens? Food prices rise. No matter how much money you've got, you're not going to be able to afford the food. The entire economical system is going to collapse. So what we need to be looking at this point in time, and what is most important for your generation, which is what Greta Thunberg speaks a lot about, is that, you know, the onus is going to be on you guys. Like, us speaking today, we're in the latter part of our lives. You know, we're not the ones who are going to be affected so much by global warming and climate change. It's you guys, and all of, you know, the arguments and the discussions that we're putting forward today about growing our economy and all of that. My question is, what is the point of all of that? If we don't have clean air, look at the 2015 fires in the Asian regions and the problems that this created. If you're contaminating air to this extent, all of the money is going into the health system to help these people that are getting affected by this contaminated air. If you don't have fertile soil to grow food, you know, like how are you going to eat? If you know, deforestation is contaminating water supplies, so we can't survive as a human species. You know, we're already under our targets. You know, for 2030, 10 years before we reach a tipping point, which is scientifically shown is going to affect human survival, these are the key things we need to be looking at. It's not about economic growth. We need to stop, and we need to start looking at human survival. How are we going to survive on this planet? You know, in the next 10 years, like that. This is really the most important thing. So I really ask you to consider this. You know, like when you go away from this conference and you start researching things, because that's for me the fundamental, you know, point of it all.
Thank you, Ms. Rina. As we mentioned just now, palm oil cultivation is the major driver for forest destruction. In preparing forest land for palm oil production, trees are cut down and removed first. So, for Dr. Ahmad Parvez, what proposed plans have the government initiated to alert the producers, manufacturers, and consumers as to the damaging impact that these plantations have on Malaysia's climate?
Thank you. Okay, just before that, just to clarify, I think, as mentioned by Dr. Subu, what we are saying, what I'm saying, I'm talking about being the regulator of the oil palm industry in Malaysia. I'm referring to what we are doing in Malaysia. That's why what we are talking about, for example, forest fire in 2015, we had nothing to do with Malaysia. It's all Indonesia, and nobody cares about what's happening in Australia now anyway. And the area of Amazon, as though Amazon is not important, so people just clear. I think the amount of land we clear for Amazon, not only for we're talking about livestock, not only Amazon, but you should go and study and get a fact about how people clear the land in New Zealand, how the Aborigine was taken out of their place. Just go and you can Google and can find more information where livestock has expanded and the land being cleared, not only human, not only animal but also human affected, and it's actually happening in other parts of the world, not only in Amazon. And also go and get the fact about the land clearance on for soybean. Actually, for the past few years, I think the amount of land being cleared for soybean cultivation is almost 10 times more than oil palm. Like nobody cares about it. Even EU is now considering soybean cultivation or soybean produce as a low ILUC risk. You know that about the ILUC and whatnot, but and oil palm is the only crop that has been put as a high risk ILUC. ILUC means indirect land use change. So it's only oil palm that palm oil that creating all these issues, but soybean there's no issues because we know better why they are not being included because they are also being produced here. Okay, going back about the deforestation. The first thing, let's see what was the promise of our Prime Minister. He was the Prime Minister then in 1992 in Rio Declaration during the summit. Our Honorable Tun Mahathir mentioned that Malaysia pledged to keep at least 50% of our rainforest as forests. And until now, we still have more than 50%. Of course, I think in 2017, the information we got is around 55.3% of our forests are still remain as rainforests. And where you hear now in UK, I think the most we have 13. Okay, we give a discount 15%. Otherwise, we ask you to go back. So they keep maximum 15% of forests that are here, and nobody cares about it. They only cares about what's happening back home, where we still have 55% of our land forest as forest. That's excluding oil palm and rubber cultivation. Other countries do include that, but we did not include the oil palm cultivation and rubber cultivation as forest. Even though we are planting rubber and oil palm for 25 years, other crop here, most of the annual crop you just plant, 6 months you harvest, then bear, plant again. Whereas once you plant, 25 years, 30 years, they are there and they keep on absorbing all the pollution and get rid of all the CO2 in the air. So government has, as mentioned, last year the government had made a policy of first capping the area planted with oil palm to 6.5 million hectare by 2023, and then no more planting on peat, and then no more planting on high conservation area, basically in forest reserve. And the third one, the last one actually is to made public basically the oil palm planted map or planting map in Malaysia. Actually, MPOB has been entrusted. I mean, we've been working on it, and we are not going just to give patches of this oil palm, this forest. No, we are going into very depth, what we call map. There's some area we go as low as 0.6 meters. Not only oil palm, you can even see the squirrels if they are there. Okay, so 0.6 you can definitely tell this is oil palm or this is coconut or this is, because you can easily distinguish oil palm and coconut sago just because of the way they're planting. And as an expert, I can tell you this is a coconut or this is an oil palm. So we are looking at that. So now currently basically except Sabah, Pahang and Sabah, Pahang and Johor. These are the three states that we are now finalizing, cleaning up our data. So we should have by middle of this year or latest by September, we are going to publish our map to show the area of oil palm planted. Definitely going to be more than 5.9 because the 5.9 million hectares planted currently in Malaysia, these are based on license. MPOB, everybody who produce the oil palm, once they start, the palm start producing fruit, they need to get license. So based on that license, we got 5.9 million hectares, which the cap now is 6.5. So this is basically the four whatever commitment by the government. And of course, the second, as Dr. Sugubari mentioned, is MSPO. It's specifically the way we want to produce Malaysian palm oil to be produced in a sustainable manner. It's not only the big players, even the smallholders. As Dr. Sugu mentioned, the MSPO is the only standard that make it mandatory for every supply chain, including the 500,000 of smallholders. Individually have to be certified, and this is what we are doing. We know it's a big task. We managed to certify currently 73.4% of the whole oil palm planted in Malaysia has been certified based on the figure yesterday, and around 76% or 86% of the mills has also been certified under MSPO. So basically, under the sustainable pledge, we want to make sure the whole oil palm produced in Malaysia will be sustainable. Why I'm going to emphasize on smallholder, because there's no other scheme. Basically, RSPO is only talking about big players. They are just money-making entity, just producing. Currently, they only occupy around 19% of the area, and only 10.50 or half of them has been bought at a premium. So there's another half being produced at expensive way, and there's no market for that. Have to be sold as a normal commodity. And when we talk about sustainability of the smallholders, we want to make sure all our smallholders will produce in sustainable manner. We are going down to meet them, explain to them the importance, and then the whole certification cost for the smallholder is bear by the government. So that is what's happening. When we mentioned about sustainable palm oil production by smallholders, what I want to highlight, we will provide with them with the personal protective equipment. When they spray the fertilizer, or they spray the herbicide or pesticide and whatnot, they need to wear proper protective equipment, which is provided by the government. On top of that, we also provide them with the storage to keep all their chemicals. Sometimes we heard about, the children might accidentally consume the pesticide and whatnot. So now they have to put in a proper storage, and all the storage boxes also being provided by the government. So this is what we want to make sure even individual smallholders, they are producing the oil palm sustainably, not only for the market but also for themselves, to protect themselves, to protect the environment. Thank you.
So in relation to the issue mentioned just now, in relation to with regards to the smallholders, there's difficulties and challenges in in giving out the certification for the smallholders. So for Dr. Sugumar, what are your thoughts on this in tackling this issue?
Okay, before I go on to my thoughts on tackling the issues with the smallholders, maybe I just want to clarify a bit of things. When we talk about deforestation, the deforestation rate in Malaysia is 0.1%. Okay, I give you facts because that is based on FAO figures. So the deforestation rate in 1990 to 2000 was 0.31%, and 2001 to 2010 was 0.15%, and 2005 to 2015 is minus 0.19%, because we've done a lot of reforestation efforts in Malaysia. I want to stress whatever we speak here is with regards to Malaysia. Okay, so we are very strong advocate of environment and natural habitat. Oil palm has already been planted in Malaysia and it stays, but our aim is not to plant more, but to increase our yield with the land that we have. That is why we have kept the land to a certain percentage. We're not going to increase much more, but we want to go into a higher yield. So that is the aim of the government, and in terms of the policies that we have actually come up with. And in terms of the environment, we are also a strong advocate when it comes to the commitment that we have made under COP21 on climate change. And we have voluntarily agreed to cut the GHG emission intensity by 45% by 2030, relative to the emission intensity for GDP in 2005, as part of its commitment to COP21, and it has so far reduced by 33%. That was actually the figure of 2014, because we have to use international figures. So, and for example, in 2014, Malaysia's net carbon dioxide removals were 1.7 times and 3.5 times higher than that of France and Germany respectively. So we are very strong advocate of the environment. And we believe in the way forward is sustainable production of palm oil. So in relation to the MSPO, of course, you would say, there's many questions asked about MSPO, whether it's internationally accepted. For now, we are working hard on that. But you must understand, MSPO is actually based on United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We have followed the Sustainable Development Goals. And there's not much difference between MSPO and RSPO. But it's a Malaysian effort in creating a certification to ensure that our smallholders are also taken into account. Because it's important, you have to understand, when it comes to RSPO, which is a business-to-business venture, the cost of certification is very expensive. And we have to ensure that our smallholders understand what they are doing, and the cost is actually backed by the government itself. Okay? So we bear 100% of the cost for the smallholders. But the challenge is, okay, today, as we are sitting here, we have reached 73% of certification under MSPO. That's a huge achievement. From 2018, it was around 17%. Yeah, 17%, and now it's 73%. You might ask us, how come there's such a huge leap of percentage? First thing you have to understand, our big players, for example, like Saindadi, KLK, IOI, they are already RSPO certified. So what we did is, those who are already RSPO certified, you have to immediately get yourself MSPO certified. It was not difficult, as I said, because the standards were nearly the same. Okay, so for them to get MSPO. So there was a huge leap, because 60% of the land acreage belongs to these big guys, and also some small and medium estate. 40% belongs to the smallholder. So the challenge was in terms of smallholder to get them certified. Smallholders, there are two categories, you have to understand that. One is actually the organized smallholders. So this comes under the Pachik-Machik, Felcra, all the schemes. Where we actually, there were deforestation last time, because we need to develop the land to alleviate poverty. So that's where the Felda and Felda scheme came in 1970s, 1980s. But eventually the deforestation rate has dropped because we understand the importance of taking care of our environment, especially for a country like Malaysia, because we are very rich in terms of tropical, in terms of the biodiversity. So you have to understand that we know our forests. And we have maintained, as what Dr. Pavi said, 55.3% is 2014 data. Okay, this is the international data. We maintain that. Until today, it's not much difference at all. It's only 0.1% deforestation rate. So these are the efforts that we have done. But the challenges when it comes to getting the smallholder certified, you must understand. It's especially in places like Sabah and Sarawak. It's very far away. This small, it's like patches of land. And the smallholders, they have around 1 acre to average, I think, is 3 acres of land. And they decided to go into oil palm because at that time the prices were good, so they decided to plant oil palm. So you need to teach this group of people who are mostly illiterate to do good agricultural practices. Even us, when you ask us to fill up the forms and all that, it's so difficult. So MPOB is actually basically holding their hands in getting them to be certified. But you need to bring them out, you need to make them understand. So what we actually ask when we go and meet up the international, what do you call this, group of people, we tell them, don't keep condemning us, but work with us, collaborate with us, find ways on how we can improve all these practices. You see, what we are doing now with the Netherlands, we have a project with the Netherlands. So we've asked them to come and help us to help our smallholders as well as help a developing country like Malaysia in getting all these things done. So these are the things that we tell the international world, will come and work with us. We are actually working with NGOs. We are working very well with the NGOs. We are having the MSPO review. Okay, now it's an ongoing process. And WWF as well as several social NGOs are part of our review because we believe that all stakeholders should be part of the review. You will not want to believe what the government official tells you, right? But of course you will believe it when it comes to others. But don't believe everything that others say is true. Okay, so it's important to understand in a whole perspective. And that's what we believe also, we must take into account all stakeholders' views. That's what we're doing. So in our review, we take into account all stakeholders. We are also working very well with NGOs in terms of certification. We are working with IDH Netherlands. Okay, so basically, why we are working with several groups of people, with the NGOs or international organizations? Because if you want your certification to be accepted in certain countries, they will listen to the group of people in that country. So that's what we are doing. We're working with them. We have a standard, and we use certain international standards or laws and regulations, which is also Malaysian laws and regulations. But we also have to work with these parties. That's what we do now. So we have got certain recognition in terms of, we're working on recognition with China, with Japan, with India, and EU, of course. Okay, let's put aside the EU sentiment. Why? As you all hear, oil palm is very productive. So basically, we look at it, maybe it's a threat to most of them. So that's why all this comes up. And today, oil palm is a very interesting and a very hot topic. It's become sort of like the devil of the environment, termed by some people, but it's there to stay. So work with us, be our advocate on the right things. Yeah, look at the facts, but just don't listen to a group or publication or anything. Look all over and get the facts right. And whatever facts that I will tell you today is based on international facts. Thank you.
We spoke about reforestation as well as the sustainability. So for Ms. Rimal, how wide and far do you think that the adoption of sustainable policy have gone?
I don't think it's my place to say like how far and wide. I would just go back to my point that, so if you're talking about reforestation versus deforestation, the number of years it takes for a tree to absorb the same level of carbon dioxide as chopping down a tree, it's a long time. You know, you can't compare a newly planted tree to a tree that's, you know, like if you're talking about the Amazon, which, you know, I don't know how old the trees in Malaysia are, but a tree that's billions of years old, that is absorbing a lot of carbon dioxide. You know, you plant a new tree, you need at least, I think it's 12 years before, you know, you're going to get anything that is really helping. So I don't think it's really a very valid argument, the reforestation versus deforestation. The key is the deforestation absolutely has to stop. And a couple of other points that I wanted to raise in line with that is that, okay, so if we put aside the deforestation, what is the palm oil being used for? We're not referring to the oil that you're using in your cooking. 50% of the palm oil coming out of Malaysia is being used for biofuel. And this biofuel is also contaminating the environment. So it's like, it's a detrimental effect to the environment twofold. You've got the palm oil, and then you've got the impact on global warming. So this biofuel, I know it's something that has started to be brought into the way the EU is looking at buying palm oil, but it's a big problem. And then aside from that, the other things that palm oil is being used in is makeup, shampoo, snack food. These are all luxury items, that it's not like just cooking oil. So I think these are all other things that it's really important to consider. And in terms of moving forward for Malaysia, when you're looking at like new economies, like what are you going to use as a cash crop or however you're going to term it? Resource is finite. You only have to look at the Middle East to see that. The Middle East has now started an ecotourism project. Why? Because the oil is running out. You know, like, so you said about palm oil, let's utilise what we've got. You've also said that, you know, it has, what, a 25 to 30 year lifespan. So then what happens, my question would be, what happens after the 30 years? And my other question about it being a God-created crop, it's not a God-created crop because it's not natural. It's been planted, as far as I'm aware. I mean, if I'm wrong, please correct me. But if we're referring to spiritual practice and God, we should be putting the environment as absolute paramount and not affecting the lives of indigenous people who don't have the resources to protect themselves. Animals, you know, like wildlife in the rainforest, we're absolutely sabotaging, you know, their ability to survive there. And that's not just affecting the animals, it's affecting us. Like, if you actually look into ecosystems, without grasshoppers, human beings cannot survive. And I think it's really our ignorance as a human species that we're talking here about GDP, and, you know, we need this for our economy because we need to be we need to be in the richest countries in the world. And I'm not just talking about Malaysia. You know, the UK is also, somebody who Greenpeace consistently challenges on this. It's not about GDP and money anymore, it's about human survival, and we really all need to be taking note of that. So that would be my main point, and I'm sorry if it doesn't exactly answer your question, but I don't want to kind of like, give information that I don't really think it's my kind of position to make a point on really.
Can I comment a bit, please? Okay. Reforestation. Okay. I think you have to take into account Malaysia has 55.3% of forest cover, unlike other countries. So why are we always being attacked? Yeah, palm oil is there, oil palm trees are there. Okay, there's a study done. Oil palm trees have efficient carbon sink, and oil palm plantation contributes to carbon sink and will have a significant role in the global carbon balance. Science-based sustainable management practices in oil palm plantation improve efficiency of greenhouse gas sequestration or carbon sequestration. This is according to a study done by Forestry and Forest Product Research Institute, Japan. These are not Malaysians saying it, yeah? This is a study done that oil palm absorbs higher carbon dioxide than natural forest, with oil palm absorbs 25 hectares per year as compared to the natural forest, which absorbs 6 tons per hectare per year. We're not saying that, as you see, you have to understand the situation. Don't lump all this oil palm plantation into one basket from all countries. We have already planted it. We are not doing deforestation, okay? And we are actually, compared to the developed countries, we are doing more reforestation. We are trying to protect our natural resources as well. So you should not lump to say that we are doing deforestation in tropical states. So understand the situation in each country. And in terms of the issue of biogas, okay, Malaysian palm biodiesel has a greenhouse emission reduction savings that is higher than the EU Renewable Energy Directive threshold of 35% savings. For example, GHG savings for palm biodiesel in transportation is between 38.5 to 41%, and this is reported by Frederick Schiller University and Max Planck Institute. I think this is a French institute, if I'm not mistaken. German, is it? It's not Malaysian saying it. So whatever we tell you is basically what we are doing, and we actually take care of our environment, and we care for our indigenous people as well. Of course, there have been cases. Which country doesn't have cases of this? Which country doesn't have deforestation? But appreciate what we have done and the forest cover that we have, and how we are trying to take care of our natural resources as well as of our wildlife. I just want to say a few words here in terms of the wildlife, what we have done. Okay, we have this Malaysian Palm Oil Wildlife Conservation Fund, and basically it's to provide concrete assurance that oil palm cultivation does not cause deforestation or loss of wildlife and their habitat through a focused conservation research program. And we have done various programs. As I mentioned earlier, the 11,000 odd orangutans in Sabah and the 2,000 odd orangutans in Sarawak is actually based on a project that is done by orangutan populations, by Hutan if I'm not mistaken. So they looked into the orangutan habitat and corridors outside of protected forests. And I mentioned just now what was reported in the Star in 2015. Okay, by the I think it's an article by Bhutan. So basically there has been an increase of population, and now to allay the fears that our orangutans are actually being killed, or like 25 orangutans per day, so we are doing another survey. We also want to ensure that our orangutan population and habitats are not destroyed or or affected by these plantations and all that. So the plantation industry is itself putting in a lot of money to get these projects done and to also address issues in terms of the corridor for the pygmy elephants. I know there are cases of pygmy elephants dying, but the thing is that they say these are the things that we need to educate our smallholders, because sometimes when these elephants come and destroy the plantation, so we don't know what the smallholders are doing. So basically that is why MSPO is very important, to actually educate them to get good agricultural practices done. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Just very briefly, just to comment, just very briefly again. There are a few facts that I would like to make it correct here. First thing about what happened to the oil palm after 25 years or 30 years. Well, we go and do replanting. But the government also is giving now a loan to the smallholders so that they do replanting, where they use good planting material, where they can increase their yield and whatnot with the loan, so that they can do replanting and then use back the land and to keep on producing oil, which costs more when you're using a better quality oil. Second, we're talking about that 50% of the oil we use for biodiesel, which is not correct. We are talking about maybe 50% of those going to Europe. But in terms of Malaysia, we produce not more than 2 million ton of biodiesel. So that means that's not even 10. I mean, the most is 10% of our oil that we produce in Malaysia actually for biodiesel. So it's still 90% of that is going for food, as well as some other non-food like cosmetic and whatnot, oleochemical and whatnot. So that means just to get the fact right. So of course, in EU maybe yes, because around 50% are coming to EU easily for biodiesel. But to say that is actually polluting the environment, I don't know, God knows better. But basically, it actually absorbs. Because Malaysia, we are now on B10, where 10% of our diesel that we use, I mean, the diesel that we use in Malaysia containing 10% of diesel derived from palm oil. And in certain part of the Malaysia, we already started B20. Okay, second is in terms of the, we talk about God created crop and whatnot. I mean, we are human beings. God gave us the mental facility to use our knowledge, experience. We are not a GMO. Totally, of course, even though I have experienced GMO, I have produced the first GM oil palm in the world. But what I'm telling is that we are not talking about GMO. This is a normal oil that you take it from Africa, where it's been grown in native, not much care. Now we bring it to a country where the real potential of oil palm is there, and we are getting more yield than what is happening in the native. And also, what I would like to explain is that with the knowledge, still using the crop, that the species that produced by God, we have two type of they call the oil palm. They have two type of the fruit. One we call dura, which has a very thick shell. Another one shell tempurung, and then the Piscifera, which has no shell. So what people have done way back in 1920s, Some scientists have done it in Congo, and they realize when they cross these two what we call variety, and you got Tenera. Tenera is what will be planted commercially in Malaysia, which has 30% more oil. So this is basically we're using the species created by God, the knowledge that we got from God, we use it for the benefit of mankind. So what we are doing is that we're improving it now, we are getting more yield from all palm that we planted, example in Malaysia and also Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you for the insights we have from our three speakers today. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have now arrived at the Q&A session. Participants, please be reminded to keep the questions sweet and as short as possible so that we can hear more questions. Also, kindly introduce yourself, tell us your name, course of studies and the university that you are from. Firstly, we are opening up the questions to the floor. Mark Runners will bring the microphone to the participants.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm from University of Surrey. I'm studying chemical engineering and I'm currently in my second year. So I chose this topic because it really is one of the biggest topics that I'm interested about, sustainability and basically biofuel. So I'm really glad I've given this opportunity. So okay, let's cut short. So is this open to the whole panel? So yes, especially to Ms. Rinal Patel, you have made us aware about the detrimental effects of deforestation in general, but taking into account all sorts of industry that leads to deforestation. So my question is about us moving forward, yeah, and taking into considerations of livelihood of the human race. What should we do then? Livelihood. What I meant by that is. Not just for the sake of survival, but for the sake of growth and economic growth, still taking into account that as well. Because I was just listening to your arguments, especially what sort of life do you imagine us to lead? If we could find a trade-off between not destroying the planet and to ensure continuous livelihood. Thank you.
Thank you, that's a very interesting question. I think there's two ways of moving forward. The choice that I personally have chosen is to live a more minimalistic life. I think the argument was made earlier that you either cut back on your expenditure or you need to find another way of making money. I'm not saying that that's for everybody. The alternative, I don't know if any of you have watched The Inconvenient Truth sequel by Al Gore. One of the strong arguments that he made and tried to implement was a green revolution. So you have a great opportunity actually in Malaysia because you have a lot of sun. Renewable energy is it's a huge opportunity for the country. And I was speaking to some of the other speakers, and I know that that is on the agenda for the government of Malaysia. But I would say, given the situation that we're in and the severity of it, that is absolutely where we need to be going in terms of creating jobs for people, in terms of creating a new economy. And this is what Greenpeace very much advocates, is that we need to be changing systems from the top. We need to be changing food systems, economic systems. We can no longer be exploiting resources for GDP and capital gain. We need to be finding ways that is taking into consideration humanity and also the environment. And the extent of suffering that we're created, I don't know if you all realise, but hundreds of animals, hundreds of species are going extinct every single day. We can see how nobody's immune to this. The fires in Australia showed that. And I just think it has to be a wake-up call for us, because you're going to spend your whole life working, you're going to put all of your time, all of your money into it, and then your house goes like that because of a fire caused by climate change. Where, it has to be the responsibility of governments, which is great that we've got COP coming up to discuss this. So why do we have our governments? Our governments are there to protect the people, and the biggest threat that we're facing at the moment is environmental. So the GDP and, the human survival and threat that I've been talking about, they have to go hand in hand for human survival as much as anything else. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Because, I'm sorry, because I asked for the whole panel's opinion, if I may. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I think Dr. Library explained views on that. I think for me, because I think what we are doing, we are basically utilizing the land, rainforest, the climate, and all the best what we have in Malaysia for the mankind, for the goodness of people. So I support whatever basically what we are doing there. The first thing first, at least we have more than 50% of our forest. At least we can sell the whole world. Half of our forest is still there. We should be proud of that. So what's the big deal if we have to sacrifice some of the other area for the development? These people have to live. If you take these smallholders, some of the aborigines, the orang asli, if they don't go and develop, what do you expect them to live? How do they live? How do they protect their family? That's why even when they smallholders, they plant their oil palm, we help them, we assist them so they can be certified sustainable. They protect themselves, they protect the environment, they protect their neighbors, they protect all the surrounding, and they got what they want. They got a living, they can feed their family. We make sure that their process is sustainable, and they have good living. And similarly, there are others also in Sabah, Sarawak also have to go and use the facility, the land that they have for cultivation and produce income from that. Of course, I think what I would like to also add, what the minister, actually our new minister of Prime Ministry is advocating, including our Honourable Prime Minister, is that to go to diversify. That means instead of just only planting oil palm, we should also do, of course the first thing what we do is that we encourage the smallholders, especially when they do replanting. The first 3 years you have no fruits. You plant oil palm, the third year only you start getting fruit, you sell and you get money. So the first 3 years there's no income. So that is where we encourage these smallholders to intercropping. You plant cash crop, banana, whatever, sarai, anything, any small cash crop that you can plant, you plant vegetable, because then you still got a lot of light, you plant and you harvest and you got income for the first 3 years. And when the government also give loan for the smallholders to do replanting, they only pay the 5th year. You take the loan now, you do the planting, you pay nothing. The 4th year when you start producing your fruit, only the 5th year you start paying back to the government. That means we understand the situation. So that means basically what we are doing is the best, and I think the going forward to making sure that palm oil be produced in Malaysia in sustainable manner, I think that's the best thing we're doing for the benefit of our country, for our climate, our environment, and to our people. Thank you.
I think a lot has been said. So what I want to say is that basically there has to be a balance between the 3 P's: people, planet, and profit. So that's what we are doing in Malaysia. We care for our environment. That's why we have 55.3%, actually it's more than 50% what TM has actually pledged in 1992. And our oil palm plantation is there. So what can we do is to ensure sustainable production of the palm oil. So we want to ensure there's a traceability and to know where the source of the palm oil comes from. So that's what we're working hard on, and we want to ensure that our smallholders also have a good life. So, but they have to, because of the mandatory, they are also subjected to certification. So that's something that is important. So we want to ensure there's good agricultural practices, that we do not further, if there's any impact on the environment, we don't want that to happen. So that is the importance of the MSPO certification. So I think that's about what I want to say. Thank you.
Does anyone here have any other questions they would like to bring forward?
Thank you. My name is Mohammed. Probably should be saying this in front of the fan of Greenpeace, but actually work in oil and gas. So that's quite unfortunate. So my question is basically, Mr. Pasal, you mentioned that obviously Middle Eastern countries are diversifying into ecotourism because of dependence on oil and gas. And Dr. Ahmed Parviz, you mentioned that oil palm currently constitutes 7% of Malaysia's GDP. So I'm wondering if in the future, is the Malaysian government foreseeing that we're going to have to diversify that 7% into other crops in the future? Are they looking to grow that share of GDP, looking to grow that productivity? So I just don't know what, say, I'm talking long term, maybe 20, 30 years time, what's the government's plan?
Okay, actually the actual GDP actually is not 7%. I mentioned of 5 to 7, but actually it's around 4.5%. Okay, of course this figure change every year. It depends on, I mean that last 2 years is low because of the oil palm price was low, so it affect. Even though I mean last year quantity everything increased, but the price is still low, income still less because of the price of oil. Okay, in terms of diversification, I think as I partly mentioned just now, this is basically the new way forward. In fact, Tun have mentioned that as well. It's actually to go into diversification, especially for smallholders, especially because now basically when with the minister actually Sugu sometime we also move. In fact, I think currently because we are making it mandatory the certification MSPO, Malaysia Sustainable Palm Oil. So we are on the ground almost every week. We are together with the minister. We go to all over the country. We talk to smallholders. We talk to them. We know their issues. And one of the biggest issues faced by the smallholders for them to get certification actually is the land title. A lot of them actually, we see most of them either their land is for rubber, rice, or some other crop, but they already shift to oil palm. So we need to get it clear to get the land title to be changed or not. So this is on the ground, and we are actually also telling them, as I mentioned just now, to do replanting. When they do replanting, they also do intercropping. Second, what we also telling them to do is that if they have a small land, only like actually the average land planted by smallholders is 3.9 hectares, which is almost like 9 acres. But generally, there are some of them only have like 1 or 2 acres or 3 acres. So those which have very small area, definitely it's not economical. So this is where we try to talk to them, even our own. We have what we call tunas, tunjuk ajar and nasihat sawit. We have now around, earlier we have 160, now we have almost 600 of them. Going all over the country talking to smallholders, we telling them, if you have a very small area, when the time to replant, we encourage them not to plant oil palm. Basically, to plant some other crop. Some other cash crop, they can go into whatever. They want to plant durian, they want to plant any other thing that can give income to them. Because frankly speaking, anything you plant and oil palm below than basically 10 acres or 4 hectares, it's not really economical because of the cost of harvesting. And most of these basically smallholders, they are elderly. I think the average age of our smallholders is between 59 to 60 years old. I mean, even I'm not yet 60, almost there. I think if you ask me to become a smallholder to go and harvest oil palm, I cry in front of the tree, really, seriously. Even though they can give me the electronic harvester, it's not an easy job. Of course, I have done that before, but basically, it's not an easy job. So they have to depend on other people to do the harvesting. Basically, they have been depending on other people. Because the young generation are not interested to go into the plantation. They have to employ foreigners, other people, contractors to come and harvest. So basically, what they are getting is very little. So we are also encouraging them to go into diversification. And on top of that, what we are also doing is that we work with them and asking them when they do replanting to allocate some land for other crops. So whenever, for example, the last 2 years we have very low prices, so if they have other facility, maybe a 10% or 20%, they may have that small pond, they may have planted some other crop, then they will have a better income. So this is basically we are encouraging people to do, because that's why I think we are not going to stop palm oil, but basically we want to make sure when they plant oil palm, they are more what we call effective, and then it's more sustainable for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Unfortunately, due to time constraint, we have to end our Q&A session here. And I would like to thank the speakers for your time, for taking your time to be here with us. And I would also like to thank the participants for the excellent question and participation. Thank you.
Yeah. I just wanted to just make a few quick points. So in terms of cash crops, I would suggest looking at countries like Argentina, which have a very volatile economy that was created by a dependency on cash crop. It's not really a very sustainable model. Also, in terms of the silent enlightenment that was mentioned earlier, I hope you all will really look into climate emergency, the impact of deforestation. And what, the most important thing you can do is actually campaigning your government to no more deforestation, whether it's for palm oil, whatever it is, not even 0.5% any more of the rainforest should be destroyed for that. Because it is going to affect us human beings as well as all the other animals and indigenous people. The indigenous people don't need us, they know how to survive without money, we need them. Finally from that, 20 to 30 years time, please look into science and climate emergency, because 20 to 30 years time we could be facing the risk of extinction of the human species. So talking about economy and GDP just doesn't make sense to me. But they were the final points that I'd like to make, and thank you for having me at the event today.
She had, so I thought I should have something that's as well. Okay, in terms of deforestation, yeah, we do not agree to deforestation, and you have to understand whatever oil palm planted is in agricultural land. Every country has land side aside for agriculture, for development. So whatever oil palm is planted on agricultural land. So please understand that, and also the fact that we have come up with policies, because there will be some culprit somewhere who want to encroach into the forest. So we have come up with policies that you should not plant in permanent reserve forests. So there are the policies that the government has coming. Of course, there's room for improvement. Just don't criticize us, work with us. That's what I say, and I hope you young students of future leaders will understand things better and look at the sciences, look at the facts, and understand the effort that is done by a developing country like Malaysia to protect its environment and to ensure sustainable production of its palm oil. Thank you.
Thank you to all three of our speakers. We would now like to invite Nurul Amani, Vice Chairperson of UKE CARE's office, to present a token of appreciation to Dr. Ahmad Parvez first.